to Larisa Lili Temperance. Today we're doing our twin flame energy check-in. Today we're going to be focused on divine masculine, and I'm going to actually be, in this read, I'm going to actually be gender specific due to the channeling and all of the things that kind of surfaced for me since the last reading. And it's actually been going on for like 2 weeks, I've noticed. But mainly this past week. So it is going to be kind of gender specific, you guys, and it's going to be a little bit of a story time. So I want to warn you in advance, this may be a long read, like a long video, because of the story time. And we will pull cards once I'm done, with what I've received over the week. And I feel Spirit wants me to kind of touch on, just because it was just so much on the forefront. So the topic we're talking about was and I'm going to use this as the main. I've had other things, but there was a meme that was posted, and I saw on my Instagram the other day, that arrived to a bigger dialogue, and it's about porn. And we all know that in this journey, sacral activation is one of the strongest, but it's also the divine masculine's most toughest energy to combat, right? To kind of dismantle. But because there's, from the spiritual aspects, it's what it really signifies, right? Compared to what the 3D world portrays it to be, and has conditioned our masculine, specifically men, to believe, or to find validation from. So the post read is: when young men become trained by pornography, they get married and expect things from their wives that their wives aren't interested in or can't even do. It leads to frustration, anger, and shame and insecurity. Pornography doesn't show what sex is, it shows you what male lust is. Now, obviously, we can argue this both ways, but I feel like the emphasis that I've been getting is a lot on masculine energy and distorted, and what's being dismantled, right? And the struggle that the divine masculines, twin souls, are having to dismantle within their own energy, right? Because what they're bringing about and dismantling also affects the collective, other masculine energies, right? Who are not in the similar path, but are in energetically, we're all collectively sharing, correct? So the pointers I'm going to point out, because I did comment on that, because I it's one of the ways I've been more active on public comments than I've ever been this year. And it was one of the challenges I gave myself as a divine feminine, to really use my voice and not be afraid, because we all know that these posts are I think one of the things that kind of restrict you is, how is it going to affect my career? How is it going to affect this? And you know what? If we use our voice properly, people are always going to twist and turn the things you say. So if you're able to find your inner voice with confidence, then, and really live out truth in this journey, which you do not care what other people think, right? Because the truth is, it doesn't really matter. It's all a projection and a conditioning of their own, and it really has no basis on your life. It has no foundation, because it's not your reality. And so once you find that freedom within your voice, then what you're able to bring, and of course the voice needs to be clear and it needs to be healing, because I do focus on that whenever I comment on something. But I also I am also a mirror of shadows. So I can really, it's easy for me to address narcissistic, because a post like this has lots of narcissistic in it. Like the level of narcissism in these comments, it's, and for an empath to dive into that, you can get attacked in a lot of ways. And so that preparation to know that you can do that, and then how you are going to need to have this armor of words, right, in exchange to be able to get your point across. So that's always a challenge, right? But you know what? I have my way. And so I always tell, like, and even in other, my sign reads, narcissism is something I really don't care for. For me, narcissists are funny. Other people hate them. Other people, but when you reach a certain level of consciousness, you start to realize they have the biggest weakness. And when you realize, like, when you come to that understanding, then they have no power. They have no power over you. You see how they have no power over anyone. So your soul will eventually know how to address those kind of souls or individuals who lack of, right? So one of the main complaints was complaining how the post was one-sided, right? We're talking about young men only, and women do the same, right? We can argue that all day, but the complaining, and it's really the males that were complaining in the comments of how, oh, it's just one-sided, and women do this too, and women do that. And what those comments were really reflecting was how, men are kind of exhausted of being attacked, right? And it also shows the areas they need to heal, because they can address this. If they were addressing this from a higher consciousness, they would use the opportunity to comment from a space of education, right? How do we do better? But that's not where we're at, right? That's not where the consciousness is. And so the complaining and the post is one-sided. The post is focused on one directional. So even my comments, man was like, you're just talking about one point. And then I'm just arguing like, no, I'm addressing the post, which is one directional. But, it's common sense. To me, it's common sense that it's both. And people, the level of unwilling to go outside of that, because the truth is to agree with that argument that it's common sense that we can refer this to both. They don't want to agree because that would mean they would have to agree. They would have to also argue valid points on the other end. And that's not what we're trying to do, right? Masculines are trying to maintain control here. And so that was one of the complaints on the comments. The other complaint was about size of a man's penis and the complex behind that, and how, well, no, women always are so specific of the size of the male's genitals. And again, anyone who's uncomfortable with this video, you could please feel free to click off. But I think if you want to talk about distorted masculine, this is one of the energies, and it's just been presented to me in so many ways. And I feel this is an important part of a lot of the masculines who are distorted right now, or who are battling this, who used sex as a way of escapism. But anyways, here we are talking about, they complained about the size and how women point out a man's genitals and the size and this and that. And instead of focusing, this is where the education also comes in, right? I feel masculine men don't understand, or at least we are not educating our masculine men that it's not just about the penetration. It's about the woman and what she needs in terms of elevating and escalating to an orgasm, right? And to get comfortable in that way. It takes time for a woman, but that also means you have to understand her. You have to understand that there are specific areas in her walls that you have to, create some friction in, where that will create pleasure. And it's not about the size. And then if let's say you're a masculine energy who, masculine men who, isn't as well endowed, right? Where you're confident in that area, then there is a need to educate. We need to create normalizing, educating on how to still please a woman, right? It's, it doesn't always have to be through penetration, and there's other areas of being able to do that, right? There's other ways to be able to do that. But, apparently that was brought into the mix of things. And honestly, it goes with the comment where it says here, it leads to frustration, anger, and shame and insecurity. And I feel like the comments was just a reflection of all the anger, shame, and insecurities that come to not really understanding, but then not wanting to accept accountability for the aspects of lust that it brings versus understanding the actual sacred union of sexual energy, of actually, enjoying the experience with a woman and being able to have that, how would I say, when in the moment, when there's the intercourse and there's the penetration, to be able to feel that experience, to be able to be present in the experience, to be able to feel the presence of the feminine in the penetration, and the feminine energetically, just her soul and who she is, versus it just being sex, right? And that disconnect. It's one thing to lust, but it's one thing to have a deeper understanding of who you're connecting with. And that's where the confusion is. Obviously, this can be argued both ways. I'm only focusing on masculines today. We could get into feminines if you guys wish. Comment below if you want me to do that in another read. But I don't want to focus too much on the feminines. But the women, the women know. We know that there's also shame around sex, and there's also shame around how we experience it and what we can do. And no, we don't want to be compared to a porn star. And there's women who are overly confident and love it and enjoy it. And there's a need to understand, right? Because the truth is, if this is a male's desire, then the shame comes in not being honest up front when meeting someone. So I think when you're choosing your sacred person, your sacred partner, you should be able to feel comfortable to express about the things you like and not be ashamed. And so in these instances, there is that shame from men who aren't really open and honest about their needs and go in and, get married, or it doesn't have to be marriage, but long-term partnerships, commit to a partnership that really isn't fulfilling those needs, when their inner demons or their inner wants and desires are so much more than they're letting someone understand and truly know. And so that is something we need to normalize in the dialogue of what we're comfortable, what we're not, because that can also lead to compatibility, right? And so obviously this is not an issue when it comes to twins, right? This is where we're the masters in this area. We don't really have these issues. Like it's a more of a connection. And the truth is, that's how you know the sacredness. That's how you learn as a twin. We've learned to respect the sacredness of the sexual union of the connection, because that's where you dive into your spiritual self, and the masculine too. They may not interpret it, sometimes, the masculine's like, why is it so great? Why is it this? And they're always wondering, right? And so the only thing they have to compare it to is everything they had. I was like, but they probably like, I've had sex with many women and I've encountered many encounters, but it doesn't feel like this. Nothing will compare. Why? Because it's the oneness to source. That's your true divinity. That is your union. And that's how you learn the whole purpose of the energetic exchange of souls when in sexual union. And that's how you learn to respect that energetic exchange. So all these other things, these other encounters that masculines are experiencing, we don't want to push it and say, oh, it should never happen. No, it's part of the learning curve of the soul to be able to understand. So we do encounter in those connections, and we learn, and we take those experiences and we learn. But it's not helping when we're not in a space of educating. And I think it's increasing in terms of the lack of understanding of and the disconnect of women and men and how to use sexual union properly. The other thing was claiming women's ignorance on the topic. And, For some, there's some women who are not open to the topic at all. And so, yes, that is a detriment to the female. We also have to increase our confidence as a woman to be able to feel comfortable and understand, because again, it is a sacred union and it carries healing energies. It carries so much of the energetic downloads that we get in terms of our true inner self, our authentic self, when we understand. But even those karmic lessons, those lessons that we encounter, where we have those encounters with other men, and those experiences that we had that failed, they were part of that journey to understanding yourself anyways, in that sexual energy, in the sacred. So even if you had poor experiences where, you could have been abused in that sense or taken advantage of, that goes to show us also our divinity and what we allow and what we don't allow our bodies to do. And we have to hold that power. Nobody has that control or power over us, right? And learning that power is, and this goes for the men as well, understanding that power, that the lust doesn't have to overtake them. The lust doesn't have to control their life. The lust, they don't need. That lust it's not the healthiest validation, because the truth is that that constant instant gratification that they get from those moments when they experience their divine feminine, it's completely different, and so the beauty of the connection of the twin is that and if you've had sexual union with your partner, the beauty of the twin is that there's nothing that'll compare to it, right? There's nothing will match up to this spiritual sacred union. And so then therefore that's how the distorted masculine, how they use their lust starts to transition. It eventually starts to, they start to not want to do that with anybody. It starts to mirror more of who they are. It doesn't have the same pleasure, and it becomes difficult. Now, how long they tend to stay in it, of course, it happens, and they will be playing that fool for some time, which is funny because I have these cards here, which I will talk about in a little bit. But this also, the other topic around it was how men are now defining real alpha males. And I think, and I probably leave this for another time, but just to kind of touch on it, where we have to redefine our definition of alpha males, alpha men, and a healthy alpha man, right? Because this is obviously a distorted masculine. These behaviors are from a distorted masculine who is still finding their way, who is still trying to learn, who isn't really honest with themselves, right? Because if they're going and getting into relationships and all of a sudden they're unsatisfied, that means they also didn't find their voice into truly being honest with themselves and their shame around their wants and desires and probably what they do behind closed doors, right? And so there's a lot of it that needs to be faced. So, all right, guys, we're going to get into the read. I know that was long, but I kind of wanted to just touch on it. So it doesn't surprise me because I was using my deck and I kind of wanted to tap into the energies right away. And guys, look what we got. The Six of Wands, the Magician, and the Fool. And you guys know I don't do reversals, but I don't have to, because even on that energy, we can already tell magicians can be in reversed. These cards can be very egotistical. And I think masculines are being confronted with, their foolery and how careless and reckless they were in the past. And, where there was a lot of ego with the Six of Wands, a lot of the confidence came from the things outside of, and how they used that in terms of being able with the Magician manipulate, be deceptive with their ways, and the lust has led them only to temporary satisfaction, and it really had no basis. And so I feel this is a dismantling. I will say the past week 6 was very important, so I feel and then Six of Wands comes up, so 666 is a lot. So I feel this is a fear. There's a fear base right now. There's a fear-based energy within the masculine energy where they are trapped in their own mind. I think so much is being mirrored back to them in terms of their hard lessons. Now, I got this new deck, which I'm so excited. It's called the Self-Parenting Oracle deck. And, you know, I was just clearing it out, and this one specific card came out, and I was going to put it back, but then I was like, wait, I'm going to read it. And I mean, it's exactly what we're talking about here. And it is now safe to acknowledge the shame I feel when reflecting on my past choices and behaviors. And so I feel this is what is being confronted to the masculines. They are acknowledging the shame they feel when reflecting on their past choices and behaviors, the things that they've encountered. And sexual encounter, sexual energy is one, because obviously for those who were in sexual union with their twin, they are realizing what that was. They're realizing how they used poor choices, and also how they took advantage, but also how they probably took advantage of other feminines as well, and kind of did it for their own selfish reasons, because it was something they weren't willing to face, right? Something they weren't ready to face. And so here I choose to remember that I am a magical work in progress, and each version of myself gives way to the next as I find deeper clarity into the thought patterns that influence my behaviors and choose those which best serve me. And I love this energy, because it's like I really feel the masculines are trying to find the best energy to serve them. So they're really, I feel, because in reverse these cards are just so terrible, but I also feel because this is them trying to find better behaviors, in upright they're so positive, right? Now they're starting to clean their lives. It's a new approach of the way they see. Their confidence is needing to be worked on, and they're recognizing where they want to put their energy to and what's really more valuable to them. And the Magician upright is knowing that they are really closing karmic situations where now they're alchemizing their life, and they're able to make choices to be able to transmute these lessons, the old self, and now create a new version of themselves, to recreate and retrain themselves to behave differently, to really take ownership and accountability of their behavior. Magician's number one, right? That's initiation. So we have the Fool and the One. So this is an initiation process to finding that self-courage, that willpower that's needed to really transmute where they're at. Whew, I know it was deep, feminines. I told you guys this was going to be a little long. So let's see. I want to pull another one. So let's see what's another self-parenting advice and guidance for our divine masculines in these transitions. Masculines, if you're listening, this may not apply to all of you, but I think this message was brought to me, and it could also be just for the feminines who had masculines who battled this, and to bring about some level of understanding of the battles, and that it's just part of it. And there is an acknowledgement here that I am a magical work in progress, right? Each version of myself gives me way to the next as I find deeper clarity into the thought patterns that influence my behaviors, and choose those which best serve me, right? And so this is a finding, which they have been, especially last week. We had all that inner child and shadow work, and really disconnecting from the world. And so these are the findings, right? So Spirit, what is the other self-parenting guidance for our lovely masculines right now? Thank you. It's now safe to acknowledge the feelings of distrust that support and amplify my fear. And remember how I was saying, you guys, it's a fear base right now. There is a fear base in the energy here. And so now they have to acknowledge the feelings of distrust that support and amplify that fear. They have to acknowledge the fear. They have to now face themselves. And the fear comes from not wanting to take, having a hard, not wanting to, but having a hard time acknowledging their behavior. It's almost like, oh, like it's tough. It's tough to swallow that, you know, oh my God, I did this. Oh my God, I can't believe, you know, it's a lot of that. I choose to remember that when I shift my focus from the thoughts that are upholding my fear to those that empower me to discover deeper self-trust, I allow myself to step into the growth that is available to me in this phase of my miraculous existence. And this is the self-love and forgiveness they need to give to themselves. And that was a very big message last week as well. All right, Spirit. So what is the soul's journey right now? What is the growth of the masculines? What are the transitions right now for the souls of our divine masculines? Heart opening, and it's exactly what happens, right? So the heart chakra is open, and I feel masculines go through this heart opening in stages due to the resistance, due to how it is hard to have to face themselves, right? Their behaviors. It means once your heart awakens, you can't lie. It's hard to lie to your own heart, right? And that is a challenge. And so here, Anahata is the energy of love within you. Opening the heart chakra fills you with love, forgiveness, and compassion. And this is where they're having to really show compassion and forgiveness to themselves, but also where they're struggling, you know, with the shame of knowing other people they've hurt. And they have to find that forgiveness within themselves. And align themselves with the truth, right? You can't hide. Once the heart chakra is open, you can't lie anymore. So let's see what the major arcana shift is for the masculines. I mean, the fact that we have the Magician here and the Fool, it's very major, obviously, but let me pull from my favorite deck. You guys know I love this deck. What is the major arcana shift for the masculines? And we have the Empress energy, 3. Wow, this has been coming up in my general reads a lot too. Creativity and abundance. Dear one, you're being called to action. You're ready to accomplish great things and truly come into the fullness of who you are. It's time for great creativity, give birth to beloved projects. Follow your passion so the abundance and prosperity manifest for you. And I feel this abundance, this creativity, I feel this is more about the Empress energy, them embodying the feminine energy, right? Because this is the Empress. So the heart awakens, they embody more of the Empress energy and the life that they're creating. This is a creativity. So now they're recreating themselves, recreating their feminine energy, which is why I'm loving this self-parenting deck, because now we're self-parenting ourselves. And when you self-parent yourselves, the main energy that comes through would always be first the feminine energy. And so we're kind of mothering ourselves again, and this is where they kind of reconnect with their heart where it was closed, and they connect with the feminine energy within, which also means, you know, their thoughts and emotions that are attached to the feminine energy, you know, female energies, their mothers, I feel strongly, and other women that have been in their life. So let's see. Now I'm gonna pull some energy cards here, Spirit. What are the energies for the divine masculines? What more information can you give me for the masculines? What are the masculines for this message? What are the transitions? And then more for the masculines. And more for the masculines. Yeah, I mean, talk about broken heart here. 3 of Swords energy. There's a lot of healing. And then Angel of Love. Again, this is very much connecting with the feminine energy, the vibration of love. Second card that came out was hostilities, which is what we're seeing, right? The struggle within, I feel, the struggle within. Also the disconnect, walking away, right? The disconnect of the outer world. And so this is it's the redefining. They find themselves really wanting to choose this, and of course they're going to battle it within themselves, within their own energy, and it's a lot of healing with the 3 of Swords energy. So it's gonna definitely take them some time. I really feel forgiveness. really forgiveness in this space, where they're learning their way, they're finding their way and redefining. All right, so give me more of this angels of love for the masculines. Where's the angel of love here? Six of Cups, memories and reunion. So there's a lot in the memories. This is a lot coming and resurfacing. Tower in the bottom. Ace of Swords. Yeah, clarity, you guys. Pure breakthroughs in awareness here. There is an awareness of their past behaviors. And it is really having them, and I really feel because there's a lot of the feminine energy that is needing to be healed here. I feel masculines are really having a soft spot here, and having a struggle with the softness of it, but it's also a breakthrough. Awareness is a big one. Awareness is big here. There's so much coming to an understanding. Queen of Swords in the bottom. Yeah. So much clarity of past behaviors, of their connection, memories of, again, I really do feel strong feminine energy. All right, give me more of this hostilities here. Where's the hostilities here? And there goes the Six of Wands. Again, you guys. So six, like I said, six is very important. I really feel it's conflict and competition here. It's the same thing as this energy. So this is like kind of repeating what they're battling. There's a lot of them. There's a fear-based need that's needing to be dismantled. There's fear. And so the fives are all the things we're uncomfortable with. It's where a lot of the discomfort and change comes in. And so here there's a need to harmonize. I love to see the six, and we've been seeing six for some time too, but this I feel is important. But the Six of Wands is success and recognition with the sun, illumination and growth. And there is a recognition of how they use these energies, and before the hostility within, and they have to come to a place of recognition. It's how do you say, it's such a responsibility when you arrive to the six, because this is a choice we make on our own, where we have so much five energy, so much change and discomfort and conflict within our environment, hostility within our environment, that we need to be the observer, which is why I love the Hermit energy. Be the observer, and this disconnect that they have, I feel the disconnect that we've been talking about from the world, it's for them to sit and be the observer. That's where the illumination's coming through in the sun. So all this illumination has been putting them in this space of recognizing what they need to take accountability for. The six is accountability. The six is finding appreciation and gratitude despite of the things we've done. And this is also a responsibility to ourselves, because we don't want to go backwards. We want to go forward. Oh my God, I didn't even point out, we have the Six of Cups too. So six, of course, six is important. I wanted to point that out too. So again, six is important here. If we get one more six, then you guys, I'm not even surprised. But we do have the third six here with the Six of Wands there. Just give me more on this walking away. Give me more on this walking away. I knew this wanted to pop out. Give me more on this walking away. I really want to understand this energy because I know what's happening here. Yeah. Ooh, harsh energies, guys. So first cards that I know I felt was this Ten of Swords, right? So they're walking away, painful, mentally painful. They have to close the cycle. Wheel of Fortune. Two tens, 10-10. Two tens to really, it's just a closing of a chapter. It doesn't belong. And here we have the Page of Cups, which is message of love. And then the Five of Wands is back again, conflict and defeat. So to me, this is just finding their way, finding forgiveness. This message of love is just also the forgiveness. This is the healing. Page of Cups. This is where they have to heal themselves, heal the connections. Yeah, stalemate and indecision. So this is where they have to make really clear decisions. It is a stalemate, a stagnant energy, but this is a minor arcana to the High Priestess, because right now they're not they're not really going to make quick moves, but they're thinking, and there's a lot being revealed, because again, it's the minor arcana to the high priestess and the two of swords, which is the mind. The blindfolds will come off, and right now it has to be faced in stages, which is why we have the Ace of Swords. The breakthroughs, the past have to be faced. You have to, it's not the easiest, and it's going to take some time for them to process this, because these are endings. They're not overnight. But this is a lot of forgiveness with the Page of Cups, which is why the heart awakening, they have to show themselves more love, compassion, and forgiveness in this space, and see it for what it is, and then just let the leaf turn its page, right? Like it's just a new leaf, just go with it. Seven of Swords in the bottom. Here we go with the 1111, and then the Strength card. So this is obviously just them really restabilizing their life, and they're needing to find that courage, the strength, and the dismantling of the ego also, because this is Leo energy here. But it's the deception to themselves, where they were, like I said, all of these cards in reverse would be so deceptive. There's a lot of Seven of Swords energy, and I'm just saying it specifically to the message that I was channeling with how we used lust as a way for validation, it's a codependent behavior, right? It's one of the codependent behaviors where we use it, and we use it in very distorted, negative ways that a lot of men have an issue with, right? And it's also a learned behavior for a lot of them, right? Because you learn as young, all the boys are doing it, all of this, but they never really stopped and asked themselves, well, what is it? It gets to a point is, what is this serving me? Eventually the soul will get there. But they also have to face the fact, they have to face themselves, and then also find compassion within themselves and say, well, these were my lessons. Now, what am I going to do about it now? What am I going to do about it now? They're done. What's done is done. That's it. It's done. But they need to find peace. Peace, most importantly, and the growth. Recognize the growth from it and what they can do to do better. All right, so let's see. I want to see what they need to surrender. What are they surrendering? Give me a surrendering card here, Spirit. What's the surrendering message? Surrender your belief of scarcity. The universe is asking you to open the infinite nature of abundance. In this way, you can remove blocks in your life and succeed beyond your wildest dreams. And there is blocks being removed. These are one. This energy, this message of really the shame. The shame is a block. I feel when reflecting on my past choices and behaviors, these blocks is a scarcity. It's like, it is I'm not good enough. I didn't do better. And so there's a lot of compassion and acknowledgement, but also accountability that needs to be taken. And I do want to read this message one more time, because I do feel it's important. And so masculines, just remember, I choose to remember that I am a magical work in progress. Each version of myself gives way to the next as I find deeper clarity. Remember, deeper clarity, it's okay. It's part of the process. It's part of the journey. And into that thought patterns that influence my behaviors, and choose those which best serve me. So at this point, you're recognizing your choice versus following what you were conditioned to believe, without challenging that scarcity mindset, that scarcity mindset of this is the way it needs to be. Oh, it's never going to work out. It's a lot of, that scarcity mindset could be can be very victim, and it could also be very narcissistic, and it could have lots of excuses and limitations. And so we want to create a life of abundance and change. And so this is the challenge. This is the challenge here. All right, so let's see. I'm just going to get guidances, you guys. I know this read went long, but I feel this message was very important. So Spirit, what other guidance for our masculines? What other guidance for our masculines? It's too many. All right, I feel this one. Soft. It takes courage to stay soft in a world that can be hard. There is strength in my vulnerability. Exactly. It's time to really let your heart soften you. There is strength in the vulnerability and understanding that. And it's also number 10. There is an understanding, masculines, that you're given and you're being presented an opportunity to forgive and move past. There are choices, and so this is where you reparent yourself, right? The feminine energy, you nurture and love yourself in the space, even with the flaws and the things you've learned. But that's the vulnerability. There's no need to fear vulnerability or not be able to cry or to feel that your emotions are invalid, that you can't have emotions. There's courage in finding this and forgiving yourself in this space as well. And, you get to love yourself and learn to really show compassion to your own heart. Oh, what am I doing? Not this guy. I wanted this guy. Our Spirit, one more guidance for our masculines. One more guidance for our masculines. All right, all of these. Yep, look at this. Highest vibration. We're talking about love here. A lot about love and finding softness, heart awakening, forgiveness, right? So love thy neighbor as you love thyself. The highest vibration in the universe is love. Open your heart and let love in. Only then will you attract it back to you. So open it to yourselves. We also have emotions. Let your deepest emotions come to the surface and release them. It is okay to be emotional, just what I was saying. When you suppress them, you will only cause pain and blocks into your body. To have a healthy energy flow, which is that Empress energy, we're talking about the flow of your emotions, and to have it healthy, you must learn to manage your emotions and acknowledge them. It's, it's just Spirit, it's just confirming needing to acknowledge ourselves and take accountability for our emotions, but also forgive ourselves and not allow them to cause any more scarcity and blockages and limitations and changes. A wind of change is breathing through your life. A new path is unfolding for you. Believe in yourself and stay strong, because it could be a rocky time. Sit back and enjoy the ride. And these 10s, it will be rocky. The emotions will cause discomfort. You're not going to probably like the mirror of what's being seen and shown, but it's gearing you towards a new version, right? We're talking about you becoming a new version. It's a work in progress. And also here, acknowledging that feelings of just trust, that support, and amplify that fear, that it's safe for you to acknowledge that. And now to choose to remember that when I shift my focus from the thoughts that are upholding my fear to those that empower me to discover deeper self-trust, I allow myself to step into the growth that is available to me in the phase of my miraculous existence. So this change is bringing about this growth that has been needed for some time. And I feel you masculines wanted it and know it, and it's beautiful. Allow yourself to expand. Empress energy is about expansion. It's also about the Trinity, mind, body, and spirit. So the healing aspects of you as one, and being able to tap into this compassionate spiritual side of yourself that can bring about the frequency of love that Spirit is very much clearly saying you've yearned for a very long time. It's what your heart truly wants. And now you can be authentically vulnerable and appreciate the softness, right? Stay soft in a world that can be hard. You could find the courage in that softness, and find the strength in that vulnerability, and know that it's just as equally appreciated and welcomed and beautiful. So my masculines, feminines, this is the message. I love you. Please like, share, subscribe, click that bell button if you enjoyed my frequency. But remember to live always relentlessly in striving aspiration. This is the evolution of your soul, and I'm here to nurture you in the next message.